And another thing that I was learning with Habibi was perspective drawing. I mean, I know this is sort of amateurish perspective drawing, but it's something I hadn't formally learned before, so I had to kind of learn it on the way while I was drawing pages. My whole learning curve is there in the book, and that's the inked spread, and this is the pencil understructure and perspective lines, which were new for me. I never used any rulers in any form on blankets. And now I was using rulers. And people ask a lot about the Arabic calligraphy in the book, and if I am fluent in Arabic, or if I write Arabic, and no, not at all, neither, I have to confess. I know the basic alphabet, the 28 consonant letters, and I can kind of place words. If I know the Arabic word, I can recognize them. But no, I don't read or write Arabic at all. I had some good friends that were helping out in terms of being consultants on everything Islamic or everything Arabic. I had one good friend who would often translate snippets of English text for me into Arabic. Then I would paste it into TextEdit on my Mac. It was like the only program I found that really handled Arabic fonts. And you kind of right to left font really well. And then I would also manipulate more in Photoshop and then trace with my brush on the page. And other times I was just sampling or like recycling existing calligraphy from the great masters, or pieces of Arabic text or poetry that inspired me. But whenever I scavenged one of those pieces, it was for like a very deliberate purpose. I wasn't just saying like I was the prettiest one on the page. You know, the way people get Arabic language tattoos or something and say something different than they think. This was one of the probably the most potent poem that I put in the pages of Habibi, and it's by an Iraqi poet, Badir Shapira Sayyab. And pardon me if I'm pronouncing his name right. There's probably someone in the room that knows his work intimately. I mean, he's well regarded around the world. And probably the most famous poet to come out of Iraq, possibly. He wrote this poem in 1960, titled Rain Song, or Psalm of the Rain. And on the surface, it's just about rain, but it doesn't take much to look deeper and know that it's also about the death of his mother. His mother died when he was 2, and it's about being in exile, because he was exiled from his home country of Iraq and imprisoned throughout his life and career. He was born in Basra, and then when he was 2, his mother died, and when he was 6, his father sent him to live with his grandparents. And then at that point he was growing up in Baghdad, and went on to study English literature and poetry at university. And I think that's why his work ends up being very accessible to quote-unquote Western readers, because he actually drew a lot of inspiration from our literature. But starting at that point, he was in prison for a lot of his life, and then for his political beliefs, for being a communist, for being a Marxist. He fled to Kuwait and spent the rest of his life there mostly, and taught English actually. But he was also imprisoned again, and then he was finally imprisoned by his own body. He developed this debilitating disease, this paralysis from the waist down. And learning that, which was heartbreaking, sort of connected him to the character of Zam in the book. And during the last 4 years of his life, this disease destroyed him. And he wasn't much older than me. It was his late 30s that he got this. And it took his life within 4-year span, but that was also the most prolific time in his creative career. That's when he wrote this song, this poem, Rain Song. So again, it was a potent poem. I don't have the text with me, but the notes of Habibi has the English translation of the excerpt. I kind of move things around in Photoshop and then fuse with my existing sketch and then trace on the light box with my brush. And when I'm tracing, I am generally tracing right to left, but beyond that I'm just using a brush. I don't have any of the skills of a trained calligrapher. But the poem is about rain, and it's about his relationship with his dead mother, and then about being in exile from Iraq, which seemed very potent in the context of, our current history. And but also an energy I think a lot of people can relate to about being an outsider and exile from their home. I think that's probably what most art is about being longing for something you've lost, perhaps something you lost before you were even born. And I thought that's a good image to end on, and then open up things to Q&A. So thank you.